Today, inshallah, we're going to be talking about a contention which is really a feeble and weak contention, which, like many of those, is really lazy academics at its best. It's the contention that says that the Qur'an mentions sperm, but it does not mention ovum, and therefore the authorship of the Qur'an was unaware that such an ovum existed in the first place. Well, actually, the Qur'an doesn't mention spermatozoa. The word nutfa, which is sometimes translated as sperm drop, if you look at any of the ancient kind of linguistic dictionaries, it simply means qillatun min ma', or a minute quantity of liquid or fluid. That's what it means. Now, some translators have translated this to mean spermatozoa, or not even that, sperm drop, or something like this. But that is us putting our own kind of 21st century glasses on and imposing it on the Qur'an. The Qur'an, even now, the Arabs, when they write in their kind of scientific textbooks about sperm, they call it al-haywan al-manawi. Okay, it's basically the animal, which a sperm animal, you know. This is how they would translate it, because the word nutfa is not specific enough to that very, you know, sperm that we see in diagrams. I'm sure you've seen in pictures and so on, in films or whatever it may be. So the Quran doesn't mention that, nor does it mention the egg. It doesn't mention the egg, and it's because no one would understand this. I mean, think about the Quran is trying to reach out to a 7th century, 8th century, 9th century audience, not just a 21st century audience. Imagine if it's telling the end user here that inside of the sperm that comes out or you emit as a man, there is actually animals in there. Or the people would be like, what's this talking about? I mean, think about that. The Quran uses phraseology which is appropriate for all peoples in all times. It uses perfect phraseology which we, as for example 21st century end users of the Quranic discourse, can understand, you know, with for example the biological and embryological understanding of today. But also that it couldn't alienate the 7th or 8th century or 9th century or 10th century people up until the age when the microscope was developed. This is foolishness at its core, really, this assumption. So yes, it doesn't mention the sperm in that sense, it doesn't mention the ovum in that sense, but the indications, to be quite honest with you, are all there that show that the authorship of the Qur'an, or the author of the Qur'an was acutely aware. Like for example, nutfatin amshaj. إِنَّا خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ مِن نُطْفَةٍ أَمْشَاجٍ نَبْتَلِيهِ فَجَعَلْنَاهُ سَمِيعًا بَصِيرًا, as it says in Surah Al-Insan, chapter number 76, verse number 2. We have created the human being from a mixture of fluids, and we have made him seeing and hearing. Now, what is this mixture? Almost everybody agrees it's talking about the male and female fluids combining. Now, what fluids are we talking about? The entirety of it, because we know it only requires one cell from each. And this is also indicated in the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, where it says, لَيْسَ الْوَلَدُ مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلِّهِ, أو كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم, that the born child is not from the entirety of the fluid. So subhanAllah, even this. So you have this nutfa amshaj, you have this mixture between the male and female fluids, which we know it happens in fertilization, but it's only a part of this entirety of thing which creates the fertilization. What's fascinating is that the sperm and the ovum and the egg are all contained within a fluid. And this is beautifully elaborated with the one who says, Utid Jawama al-Kalim, I've been given the brief and decisive speech, who's the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, who said that it's not from the entirety of this liquid, but it's actually from a part of it. So this, it seems to me, that is the author of the Qur'an and the Sunnah as well was aware of these the minutiae related to these things. And I think this is really a shot in the foot for those detractors, because the more we look at your evidences, the more we realize the beauty and the precision of the Quranic discourse. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.